Well, thank you very much for staying with us. And of course, if you just joined, you are watching the morning show, the Tuesday edition of your favorite breakfast show right here on LN247. And we've had quite interesting conversations we've had this morning, but it doesn't end there. We've got more lined up for you at this time. Now, this is the last lap of the show, and like we do every Tuesday, we take the conversation on education further at this point, and today will be no different as we continue to spotlight this critical sector that shapes the foundation of any nation, education. Well, specifically this time, we are reviewing the state of basic and secondary education under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu 2 years into office. Now, there has been meaningful progress. Really, the question really is, has there been meaningful progress? Are our children better served today than they were 2 years ago? Now, joining us to help us unpack this conversation, talking about the wins, the gaps, and of course the road ahead, we have a seasoned teacher and of course education stakeholder. He is Bisiga Kayode. He has an M.Ed in Educational Technology from Lagos State University and a B.Ed in Agricultural Science from Ekiti State University. Ekiti State is a seasoned instructor with great experience as well as an educational stakeholder. He's a senior education officer with the Lagos State Ministry of Education, Education District 6. He joins us this morning to help us unveil some of the things that the administration has been doing, especially at the basic and secondary level. He helps us to, bring that insight now. Good morning, Michael, and thank you for making our time to be with us.
Everyone, anywhere you're hearing me from all over the world, indeed, I greet you all.
Indeed, thank you so much for making our time to be with us, especially at such short notice. We are grateful indeed. This morning we are reviewing the Tinubu. Indeed, we are reviewing the Tinubu administration. We're looking at 2 years. I mean, from what has happened before now, Tinubu has had 2 years. Some say small time, but some say, well, time enough, to cause some very serious changes. And that's what we're looking at this morning. First, we want to talk about investment and infrastructure in basic education. Now, in the past 2 years, there has there really been any significant improvement in infrastructure, and learning environments in public, primary, and secondary schools?
There have been a series of improvements. Yes, and talking about the improvements so far, yes, some schools have been, some schools there have been improvements. And especially through support of the UBE and the TED Fund project. Then, however, there are still many schools, especially in rural areas, that need better building furnitures and learning materials, which with time and steady investment, more students can benefit from safer and more comfortable learning spaces, I believe.
Indeed, it's interesting you mentioned the UBEC being one of the tools through which improvement has been made, in basic and secondary education. Now, I'd really like to know the UBEC, which is the Universal Basic Education Commission. Has it been supported that much under the Tinubu administration to be able to deliver? And now I don't want to limit it to the federal now. Let's also bring it to the state, because the state is also supposed to provide counterpart funding, for the UBEC to be able to function for basic education at that level. How much support have we gotten, really from the federal and the state? We know that there are disbursement, but a lot of times it's in the allocations, but the issue comes, in the place of disbursement. How has that been in terms of, UBEC being able to carry out its activities based on that?
The university basic education have also been playing their role normally, and then in some schools at state level, there has been funding towards introduction of digital education, especially at primary school level and in some junior secondary school level, at state level. And I believe even at federal level too, there has been funding to equip some of these schools and to also employ capable teachers to teach those children.
Well, that leads me to my next question. You mentioned the digital intervention, and also I want to add the school feeding program to this. Away from the city centers, away from urban centers where you find that because they are in your face, it's really very, it's easy to count the gains there. Let's go to the rural areas. Let's bring this digital learning resources on the one hand, and of course the school feeding program. Combining both, how much impact has it had on the grassroots education? That's talking about the rural areas now.
We're talking about the rural area, like I mentioned before. The government is making effort, especially the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There is growing interest in the using of technology in learning, and some schools are beginning to embrace digital tools. However, many schools still lack access to some electricity and internet access and computers, which are needed for modern learning. But with more investment and partnership, Nigeria can gradually close the gap and help students compete globally.
Much, Michael. I'd like to cross over now to our Abuja station where Ayobami is standing by. I'm very positive Ayobami has some questions he'd like to ask you.
Thank you, Precious. Thank you so much. And good morning, Michael. Thank you so much. You made mention of a lot of things, and it will definitely catch a lot of people's attention. But reviewing the basic and the secondary school education under President Bola Ahmed. Now, I want to focus on the welfare and training, like we did, for the first part of it, the tertiary institution. But let's talk about the basic, education now, the education level. For the basic education, what is the current state of teachers, equipment, the training, and the motivation at the basic education level? Michael, it seems that you seem distracted. Did you get my question? You're trying to arrange your camera, I guess. Can you hear me clearly, Michael?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Precious. Okay, perfect. I can hear you keep better now. So I was asking, I wanted us to focus more on the basic education like we've already established. Now I'm asking the current state of, the teacher equipment, their training, and the motivation at the basic education level. How do you describe this? What is your take on it?
Yes, talking about the teachers' welfare and training. Teachers, of course, we all know that they remain a very important part in the education system. And in some areas, there have been efforts to provide training, workshops, and refresher courses, especially at the basic education level. Some institutions also benefit from support for research and teaching tools. Then, however, many teachers, especially in public schools, are still looking forward to improvements in salaries, training opportunities, and classroom resources. Then continued attention in this area will go a long way in boosting teachers' morale and performance. Then talking about the teacher's salary, of course, there are ongoing discussions and programs meant to improve these areas, but the impact is still building. Better funding and more regular training and timely salary payments will help teachers to do their jobs better and stay motivated.
All right, let's take a look at it. You said there are so many things being done yet, but I want us to look at concrete policies. Do we have concrete policies or policy action to improve the salaries, the professional development, the teachers' quality in our basic education level in Nigeria today under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Do we have any?
Yes, there has been, in the last 2 years, the government has made effort to improve education. One major step is the introduction of the Student Loan Act. Then also, they also aid in helping young people to go to the university. That's one of the efforts they put in place. Another effort is, trying to improve digital education in schools. And then those are part of the collected policy of President Ahmed Tinubu in a way to improve education and also to ensure that we meet up to the global standard.
So for basic education, do we have any policies like that? So you mentioned about the student loan that affect tertiary levels basically, and but for the basic education, do we have any?
Yes, at the moment there are still ongoing plans. Remember, there has been this school feeding that is ongoing, and in some parts of the country. And we believe that there are still more efforts on the pipeline that the government is putting in place at the level of the basic education to ensure that the education sector is
All right, amazing. So do you see results, from the federal government's promise to reform teacher education in Nigeria? Do you see any result coming out of that?
Yes, so far, yes, there has been results because from my own point of view, I would say there has been a result because in my own area, there has been training and the retraining of teachers in order to improve them, to improve them in what area they specialize or what they do, especially their area of concentration, area of study, in order for them to be able to deliver well to the students. And also there have been introduction of digital training as well for teachers, for them to embrace the current trend that is connecting the education system to the world globally.
Let me cross to Lagos. I know Lagos, Zobichukwu has a lot of questions for you. Michael, thank you. And Precious, good morning again. Thank you, Michael.
Indeed.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Ayobami. Good morning, Mr. Bisiga. You know I used to do Mr. Bisiga.
Morning, brother.
Yes, we go way back, actually. It's good to see you, sir.
Way back.
Yeah, oh, yes, sir. From
So
secondary school days,
too.
Actually. It's good to see you, sir.
You are actually my son, though. I taught you in secondary school.
Oh, yes, sir. You did. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Let us, talk about access and learning outcomes. In 2 years, let us look at the amount of school children. Has there been, any improvement? Like, has the number of out of school children in Nigeria actually reduced in the past 2 years under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, I will say perfectly, you're correct. You're correct in the sense that there has been policies that no student or no child should be left unattended to. No student or no child should be left uneducated. And so there has been efforts during the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even to the state and grassroots level, to take a lot of students or children out of the streets, especially those that dropped out of school, or those ones that are just doing street walking, or that are just wandering about the streets.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much. But focus on the rural parts of Nigeria now, because most of the out-of-school children mostly are from the rural parts in Nigeria. So, in your own opinion, and also underserved communities, has there been reduced numbers so far in the rural parts, especially, and underserved communities?
Okay, I will only talk about my own experience in my own environment. I could see that most students now, they are interested in going to school, and because the government have actually make going to school more encouraging. And I could also perceive from what I saw that most parents are even bringing in their children from private school to public school, noticing the efforts of the government on how they've been improving the facilities in the school and the way they've been trying to encourage more students to be educated.
So much for that. But let us talk about security or insecurity now, especially in northern Nigeria. So, how has that affected the like access to good and standard education? Yes, and the insecurity, especially in the northern areas. Can you hear me now, sir?
Can you take that question?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
yes. Okay. So, in security now or insecurity in Nigeria, especially in the northern, parts of the country, how has that affected the access to standard and good education in the northern Nigeria?
Well, in the northern Nigeria, I know there have been some religious crises that is, and some other crises that are environmental. And I think the government is also making efforts to orientate the northerners and people in the north on the reason why they should encourage their children to go to school. Even I could remember in some of the publications I read in Punch newspapers, I could see that there has been so much effort and funding in educating the Alumanjeris. And that's talking about those that does not even know how to write or read. So, and I believe the government of Tinubu in the last 2 years has actually been doing well, and they've been improving in the level of literacy in the northern part of Nigeria.
Thank you so much for that. But there are so many challenges, so many. For example, the bad roads in the northern, parts as well. This has also helped to, to hinder access to good education. But it is just 2 years now, and we have an additional 2 years and to go. And one can only hope that things would actually get better. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much. Talking about the bad road, I think it's a general problem. It's not peculiar to the northern part alone. So we should not generalize. I mean, we should not talk about the northern part facing this problem. There has been problem. It has been a general problem in Nigeria. But I believe with the level of funding of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in repair and refixing some of these road access, I believe there will be improvement. Even in the next 2 years, he has gotten.
All right, thank you so much for that, sir. All right, Mr. Michael, thank you so much for your insights, the insights that you brought to conversations today. But I'd like to deviate a bit from being general now. I'd like to bring it a little bit closer home. You work with the Lagos Education Ministry here. So very quickly, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to walk us through some of the things that the Lagos State is doing in terms of primary, in terms of basic and secondary education, especially the Co-Excel project. I'd like for you to walk us through, because sometimes when we look at what Lagos State is doing, what Edo State is doing, and some other few states, when we put that on the table and we look at what other states are doing, it's looking like they're not getting the memo, like they don't understand or they don't know some of the success stories that a project like the Co-Excel has recorded, and how they can take a leaf, out of the booklet, of Lagos State Education Ministry here. So I'd like for you to walk us through some of the things that Lagos State has done, that sets it apart, especially in terms of basic and secondary education that sets it, you know, apart from, you know, the general crowd, if you don't mind?
All right. Let me go on there quickly. I believe you can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you clearly.
All right. Going on that quickly, the Lagos state government have actually been making several efforts in ensuring that basic education in Nigeria, in Lagos especially, receives a very tremendous boost. First of all, the introduction of digital materials for the teachers to teach at primary school level. We found out that these days the teachers at primary school level no longer, as usual, use their hands to write lesson notes. They now make use of the gadgets that is provided by the Lagos state government to prepare their lesson notes and ensure qualitative teaching, so that those children too, they will be more vastly informed on whatever topic they are being taught. And also the introduction of the digital teaching also have been introduced at a primary school level and also at junior and senior secondary school level. These days, you can give assignments online to students and they will deliver the assignments as well. There have been a series of improvements in that area. And also the building of and renovation of some of the old schools, old building and structures and furnitures we are in place. I believe with the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, more will still be done. And talking about that, then we also have the security of the children. It's very, very important. And I believe the present government does not play with the security of the children. So they ensured that every aspect and every area of their learning environment is well secured and everything is in place. Then talking about as well the quality of teaching, we have the Lagos State Quality Assurance. They are also making efforts to go through the school to check what's happening in the school, ensure that teaching is being done, and also teachers are doing exactly what they are supposed to do in order to deliver qualitative teaching at both primary and secondary level.
I do recall quite recently, I think for the past 2-3 years, I do know that the Lagos State government has incentivized teaching, where you'd find, you know, the best teacher getting rewards and recognition, you know, for the state. Now, for you to be able to incentivize something, it means that you have invested in that thing, and then so you have an expectation, and you expect that when that result is met, there will be compensation at the end. I'm saying all of that to say that walk us through what the Lagos State government does in terms of teacher training, teacher development, you know, and teacher upskilling.
Okay. Yes, talking about teachers training, teachers development, it's talking about teachers training and teachers development. Yes, there have been a lot of training ongoing. There have been a lot of training ongoing to train teachers and ensuring that teachers are well equipped. They are well equipped. So, training and retraining that level. Also, talking about teachers' welfare as well, the teachers' salaries have been looked into, and I believe there is talk on it, on how to improve it. However, there have also been a series of training and the quality assurance that is going on in ensuring that the work is well done and properly by job teachers in schools. And I believe there have been scholarship that has been awarded to teachers, especially the best teachers. And I think there are modalities for checking up on which teacher is performing well, or which teacher needed to be remunerated and encouraged. So this has been the journey so far, ensuring that teachers' welfare are well taken care of.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Now, why? Okay, Before I wrap up, let's go to Abuja. I think Ayobami has some questions you'd probably like to ask. Ayobami, any questions from you? Do we still have Ayobami? Okay, while we're expecting that Ayobami would likely join us again, Michael, before we let you go, we're looking at education, right? We're looking at the basic and secondary education, and we're thinking, okay, Tinubu is 2 years in. Let's not rush the gun, right? Let's not choke him with too much expectation, even though he told us that it was renewed hope, right? So for you, if you want to score this administration based on, talking about the basic and the secondary now, if you want to score the administration, what will be your score mark for this administration?
Well, the work is still ongoing, and you can't just pass the judgment when the work is not done.
So that's why it's midterm score.
Since, yes, more like a midterm score, you understand?
Yes.
So, but we can't rate the end of a thing from the beginning. So all I would just say is that let's keep our fingers crossed and believe in our president and the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu that it's going to take us to the promised land.
Indeed. Okay, so finally, before I let you go, 2 priority areas. What would be 2 priority areas that you would advise the government to focus on, even as we move to the remaining 2 years of his administration to make it a full term? What 2 areas would you advise, as a matter of urgency, that the government should focus on?
Yes, as a matter of urgency, I believe the first priority should be the children. The children should be the first priority, and I believe in order for our children to be able to compete with children of the outer world or globally, there is need to encourage digital technology. I know the government has started something, but I believe they can still do so much better. They can introduce one-on-one gadgets as a gift to each of those students that are learning, so that they will be interested in learning digitally. What I'm saying in essence is that if you look at China as a country, even a child of 3 to 4 years already have his own tab. And if you look at the background of some of the students that are taught in public schools, you find out that most of them, they came from a poor home that cannot even afford to buy themselves an Android phone. So if the government can get to that level, bringing digital education closer to the students, and that will encourage even more students to want to come to school. And secondly, the teachers' welfare. Yes, the teachers' welfare, the government have been trying, but I don't think there is anything bad if they can equate the salary of teachers to that of an oil worker. I think there are some countries where the teachers even earn more than people that work in the oil sector, because the teachers made most of all these people in these sectors, including senators, including the president. They all went through the teachers. So I think the teaching job should be well remunerated, so that it will be more encouraging. It's hard for you to now ask any student, now what do you want to become in future? And they will tell you they want to become a teacher. They will first of all say doctors, lawyers, accountants, before they will get to teacher. Some of them will say, never, they can never be a teacher. So the profession itself, I think the government should look into it and upscale their salaries to the level of others, so that at least the children can be boastful in saying that they want to be a teacher tomorrow. And not just the teacher salaries alone, even people that works generally at every district and in every state in Nigeria, their salary should be upscaled. All this will encourage and boost the morals of teachers to also work. So that's all I have to say concerning that.
All right, well, very clearly, education really remains a work in progress. And of course, while there may be positive signs, gaps in funding, teacher development, and of course, safe access to schools remain pressing. Now, as we look forward really to the remaining years of the Tinubu administration, the hope is for sustained political will and urgent action. Thank you so much, Bisiga Kayode, for your time with us this morning. Thank you again also for giving us a sneak peek into what Lagos State Education Ministry is doing, and of course hoping that some other states who are not quite there yet will take a leaf from what the state is doing and also upgrade, because at the end of the day we do understand education is beyond federal government. The state government has a role to play, the local government has a role to play, and then individuals, private organizations also have a role to play. And we do hope that we can all bring, join hands together to build this all-important sector. Well, thank you so much for your time with us this morning. We do appreciate, you being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. I mean, quite interesting conversations we have had today, from tertiary to secondary, and then finally to basic. Basic being the building, the very foundation on which we build. And a lot of times, whether by analysis, whether by discussion, whether by research, we have found that our basic education needs help, even though recently the federal government, putting its money where its mouth is, did talk about curriculum review, which we have talked about repeatedly.
Yes.
Our curriculum is moribund, right? And then, of course, we saw that the Tinubu administration has, tried to review the curriculum, introducing vocational and technical education into the curriculum. And we do hope that it will go beyond talk. Like I'd always say, go beyond talk. A lot of those classrooms, do they have what it takes to run those vocational and technical courses at the primary level? We're not even talking about secondary. At the primary level, can they then move on to the secondary level? Can they also, do they have an enabling environment to do this? And then finally, to the tertiary. I mean, if you recall, Professor Sylvester Ahine did talk about how that, Ivan, you're back, I see you. Professor Sylvester Ahine did talk about how that instead of proliferating universities, what about our technical colleges? What about our vocational centers? What's going on with them? Why are we not thinking of, strengthening? I mean, every time we talk about education on this program, whether on this program or even on EduConnect every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, whenever we talk about our education, people would always cite China as an example. Why are we not looking at what China is the world's manufacturing hub. People are just scrambling now to become manufacturers themselves. For years, China held strong that global manufacturing hub, and then the supply and value chain. China held it strong. Today, so everybody wants anything, you go to China. Even up to toothpick, we are importing all kinds of ridiculous and embarrassing things. Nigeria is important. Meanwhile, we have what it takes. We have the brains, we have the skill, we have the people. Why are we not utilizing? Why are we not building to the point where we also can become producers in Africa, where all countries come to us and buy? It's not impossible, is it?
Yeah. Amazing. I love the fact that you mentioned China and you mentioned our education, trying to make sure that we are more productive. And I must say that even today's interview is also a proof of, that we have good educators, educators that produce good, students like Zobechukwu and Michael.
And his teacher.
They have connection, teacher and student. I had to go there. I had to go there.
Beautiful.
I had to go there.
It was necessary to go there.
Yeah, so it shows that our education system can produce good, students and of course good future leaders. However, we've really moved away from focusing on the basics, the basic education, from the basic education to tertiary, to secondary and tertiary effectively, and making sure that we have a system that can actually boost productivity, production, not consuming goods and services, as the case that we have in Nigeria. Look at China. You mentioned China. Way back, Precious and Zobechukwu, when you use something, they'll say China made. This phone is China made.
Oh, it was inferior.
Make mockery of you.
It was
that
inferior
you use a China product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was inferior. They make mockery of you that you're using China, made in China. But we've forgotten that we have Abba made. Abamade is even another version of it. When you wear something, they say, Abamade, this guy is wearing Abamade. And it's all about, making jest of you. But not forgetting that whatever you consume, it will also, add more value because you are paying into it. Whatever you take in adds more value to you. So if we continue to use force, and I'm thanking, this administration with all the policies that they've talked about, the reforms, the things they've talked about. There's a new one that they're trying to push out. That is Nigeria, force. That is made in Nigeria. Nigeria force, consuming Nigeria products, using Nigeria things effectively, and encouraging our own, industries. Industrialization, as the case may be. So this will help us focus more on it. And if we can focus, like you said, focus on not only universities, private universities, technical colleges, schools that can boost our productivity and productions, it will add value to Nigeria in future. And eventually we will be able to rely on ourselves, not thinking of wearing a Abamade, which will be a laughing stock, but with pride we can wear it effectively.
Indeed.
But if you ask me, some of those Abamade things are actually good quality.
Oh yeah, they are.
Oh yes,
they are.
Very good quality. But above all, a lot still needs to be done, in our Nigerian education system, because if the government is still thinking about removing TED fund, then in the aspect of our infrastructure, Nigerian universities would be in trouble, except they have a solid plan to back up that decision. But I hope things would actually just get better. Hope is all we have, Ayobami and Precious. Hope is all we have.
Indeed,
we have renewed hope.
Oh, renewed hope. So there you have it.
We'll continue to hope and just look forward. But apart from just sitting down there and hoping, it calls for real action, deliberate, intentional action from every one of us. Like I always say, education is not just the government's preserve. We all have a role to play. And, repeatedly, I'd always give kudos to organizations and institutions who are bridging the gap in that area, just contributing what what they can to our education sector. And I will never fail to mention the inner city missions. That organization, whether you like it or not, I could sound like a broken record, but it's because their results are tested. We have seen it.
Impactful.
Tested.
Impactful.
And we're still talking about underserved communities. We're still talking about communities where conflict has ravaged and then people are displaced. The inner city mission goes to IDP camps to teach and then helps them in, relocating them back to their homelands, and then plants 100% charity school. I saw that firsthand in Taraba State, right? I saw it. And so for that alone, I will not stop talking about the inner city missions, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's a structure that has vision and mission. So
yes,
you expect that. That's a structure that has a vision and mission. Yes.
All hands must continue to be on deck. It's not enough for us to sit back and criticize government. You have an organization, you have a company. What is your corporate social responsibility? What can you do? Really, that's the question. Beyond government, what can you do? How much more can you contribute? And that's the question we're asking ourselves today. So we will leave that major question on the table. Everybody go back home and think about how you can make your world a better place than you met it. But I am Precious Obase. I talk a lot, I know.
And I am
when it comes to education, you have me all fired up, but of course, it is what it is.
Enough to talk about. And Precious, Precious Zobechukwu, I must say thank you so much. It's always hard to say goodbye, somehow. But thank you so much for being part of every experience. I love you dearly. I love you dearly.
We love you.
I love you dearly. I love you dearly.
I love you dearly.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Indeed. It's been a beautiful Tuesday morning. Join us again next week as we bring more updates on education sector and what more people are doing, organizations, and what more we can do. But this is where we draw the curtain. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of your day with LN247. Bye.